Hey guys, it's Yishan here. I recently played in Joseph's, also known as MBT's, Mokuba League. The round one just finished and I played a vanilla frog deck. And here is what Joseph had to say about it.
Yishan is playing like the worst version of frog I've ever seen in my life. And
now his description of the deck was pretty apt, except for the fact that he said this was the worst way to play frogs. This is actually the best way to play frogs. Obviously, the most common way to play frogs is Paleozoic. Vanilla frogs is a slightly different take on Paleozoic. Obviously, there are no Paleozoic cards. However, I don't think it's actually the worst way to play frogs. If I'm being serious here and we're not talking about jokes, I actually think it's a very legitimate frog deck because its chance of establishing Toad on the first turn is extremely high compared to something like Paleo Frog. So like basically all frog decks and Toad control decks are basically swap frog decks, right? So Paleozoic is not the scariest of the decks if they don't open swap frog. In the hands that they do open swap frog, it's pretty scary because they're playing Toads backed up by traps, right? And that's really strong. And once the frog get going and going, it can be pretty hard to stop. One problem with Paleo though is that establishing Toad on the first turn maybe happens like less than 30% of the time, depending on how lucky you are. And this deck is totally different. It goes in the opposite direction, and it uses normal monsters and cards like Rescue Rabbit and Unexpected Die to special out these level 2 aquas to make Toad super quickly. It's also pretty budget friendly. Obviously, there are some cards in here that are not budget friendly, but when I get to them, I'll give you some replacements and replacement ideas. So this was the deck that I played in the first round. I'm just gonna get into it. I was able to take a win against TracycakezZ, playing Toons 2-0, so it was a really fun match. I'll have the link in the description and a link to MBT channel and her channel as well. Okay, so Triple Rescue Rabbit, obviously like one of the best reasons to play these normal monsters is Triple Rescue Rabbit. It's a 1-card Toad, right? The only 1-card Toad in existence. So really good. It just summons out 2 normal monsters and it gives you a free Toad. So really strong. One of the reasons to run all these vanillas. And then we got our vanillas here. We've got our Psychic Kappa and Slime Toad. Now, is there any reason I chose these 2 specific vanillas? Well, they just had the best stats in my opinion. Psychic Kappa is the most defense and Slime Toad is the most attack. And they just look super baller. An amphibian with a myriad of powers to shield it from enemy attacks. And a slime with the head of a frog. It attacks by croaking terribly. I mean, just summoning these cards in a legitimate game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just so funny and one of the great reasons to play this deck. Okay, next we've got Triple Swap Frog. I would say the heart and soul of basically every frog deck, just the most broken frog card. It's like this. If this deck was ABC, this swap frog would be like Union Hanger to it. It's so important to the deck. However, you don't need to draw it because you can make Toad in many different ways. But once you make your Toad, that swap frog can come out, dump the Ronin, get the advantage going. So we ran 2 Ronin. This is a build of Prosperity, so you don't need to run 3. Even if you ran Desires, you might only need to run 2, but we can talk about that like later when we get to Prosperity. But 2 is fine, especially if you're running Prosperity. And the triple dupe, you just want as many good frogs as you can. And these are the good ones. So that way your Ronin will help you in the grind game. And then for hand traps, it was Mokuba League, so I didn't know exactly what to play. I played Triple Ash, Triple Gamma, just because I thought these were like the most relevant hand traps, especially I thought most people, I guess a lot of people decided to go thing, but I also was like, I've got Rabbit, I've got Prosperity, and I've got Unexpected Die, and like these are really good gamma things to gamma as well on your turn, so that's really cool. So there's that. This is just like the most basic hand traps. I also ran Triple Impermanence down here. The reason I ran Impermanence was because I was afraid of Verte Anaconda. As a lot of people have noticed, Dragoon is legal in the Mokuba League. It's more of like a rogue format tournament, so I thought this would be good against Anaconda, against decks that were running that, and obviously Ash is good against Red Eyes Fusion. Okay, so that's the monsters. Pretty straightforward. Obviously, your hand traps can change, but you do need a high density of level 2 aquas. So you can consider running only 1 normal monster, especially if you're playing Prosperity, but I find that you miss the extra aquas because you're always trying to draw 2 level 2 aquas. And if you have extras in your hand, it's not that big a deal because you can actually use the ones in your hand to pitch off Toad, because a lot of times you'd rather pitch from hand to keep your board presence up so that your opponent's probably going to make some progress on your board, but you're able to set up like a lot more Toads next turn if you're able to use the discard from your hand. So I like the 6 normals. So yeah, okay, let's go to the spells. We got 1 Call by the Grave. I would play this since it's really good with protecting your rescue Rabbit. It's also defensive. Triple Pot of Prosperity. Obviously, you don't have to run this card. I just ran it because I think it adds a lot of consistency, but Desires also works really, really well in this deck. So if you're playing Desires, you know, feel free to play the triple Desires. Just cut like the Gammas and play something else. But Desires works fine. You can even think about adding a Rodent Totem and like 3 different hand traps. But Desires works perfectly fine. I've played this deck with Desire for a long time. And then Triple Unexpected Die, the other reason to play the normal monsters is just to get a level 2 out. This happened in my game against Tracy, and so, like, you know, I drew the Unexpected Die and was able to establish a total. Even though I got Lava Golem, I was still able to get that Swap Frog out of my deck and get the Rodent Totems churning, right? So that's the strong part about this deck, is getting that Toad early. And then for the traps, I think Strike is the best. Judgment is it's okay. Strike is definitely the best. Like, I think you could try like Ice Dragon's Prison. I didn't want to play Ice Dragon's Prison because I was scared, because it was like sort of a rogue format. So, you know, like, I guess the trap, you know, lineup can really depend. I've seen some people try Torrential with the Fury of Kairu Shin spell card. However, then people know that you have a Torrential, so it's like, but, you know, it's pretty flexible. This deck's pretty flexible, and that's why I sort of enjoy it. But yeah, that's the main deck. So 40 cards, worked pretty well for me. So yeah, I really do think this is actually a really good way to play Frost. I think Paleo is also pretty good. And I'm not going to claim that this one is better, but it's certainly not bad. And it's really cool. So I enjoy playing it. And then we've got a side deck. Let's go side decks. I played Triple Lancia just because, you know, I didn't know. I wanted to play just a bunch of cards that were good against random decks. Floodgates are always good. You know, Rivalry goes in this deck and play both because they're all level 2 Aquas. TC Boo's kind of a prom. So, you know, got some back removal, got our Pankratops for going second. You know, maybe Nibiru would have been a good idea in the rogue format. But again, like, the side deck, tailored to your meta, just remember that you can run these. You can also run like cards like, you know, Anti-Spell Fragrance, or another Floodgate like, what's that one Floodgate called? Or is like a White Howling if you're, you know, in like a slow Sky Striker format for some reason. So yeah, you know, these are just, you know, random side deck cards. In my feature match, I definitely set it in these Cosmics. I set it in a Pankratops, so I thought I was going second, but I was going first again. And so yeah, that's basically, you know, the side deck. Again, you can tech to your choice. Extra deck. So let's go to the extra deck. I ran one Omega because I ran the Gamma. That's the same with the Lambda, by the way. Okay, so for the rank, these monsters, these 6 you need. You need these 6 for sure. These come up a lot. There are a few other ones you can run, but these are the most common ones. You need 3 Toads because you go through your 3 Toads a bunch. You got your Sky Cavalry, your Downer Magician, and your Zeus. So, okay. If you're like Yishan, I'm a budget player, but I have a little bit of money to spend on this deck, okay? Like, I have frogs, like what should I buy first? Buy the Zeus first, okay? Play the Desires. I think Desires might be better than Prosperity, I don't know, but I would recommend, if you're going to buy one expensive card in this deck, make sure it's the Zeus, because that is the best value for your money. Basically, you're going to be using that Zeus a lot, and I used it in my featured match, of course. Downerd is great for giving you extra material. Zeus, no reason not to play it. You have the space. And then Sky Cavalry outs random stuff. Sometimes you'll use it. I've never really needed another rank 2. I've played other ones like, you know, just a bunch of random stuff, Phantom Knight's Cursed Javelin and stuff, but they never come up. Toad, the best one, just really, really strong. Once you get this guy going, the advantage is insane if your opponent can't stop it. And it can just, it's one of those cards that can just take over a game by itself. So I really like it. So that is the first part of the extra deck. Access Code Talker. This is not necessary. You can play Boral Sword and it's completely fine. In fact, Boral Sword is sometimes even better because it does more damage. Usually, but access code is also, you know, great. Like, I think access code is like easier to make, but you know, it's like, it's okay. Like, it's fine. But again, if you're not going to spend, if you don't want to spend that much money on your deck, no problem. Just play Boral Sword. For other links, I like an IP. Why do I like IP? Just because sometimes you'll just have random stuff like a hand trap. You want to turn a hand trap into a disruption. Boom, let's go IP Toad, you know, that sort of thing. And then we've got Cerberus, Phoenix Unicorn. These come up all the time. And then Link Spider. So Link Spider is an interesting tech. This helps you out a TC Boo. And it gives you something to do with a Nibiru token if you want to link off and stuff. So it does help you out a TC Boo. So that's sort of why I like it. You know, cause it's just free. So you got these normal monsters here, you know, you normal summon a normal monster, link in a Link Spider, special normal monster, and then boom, you're good to go. And then we've got a Mistar Boy, just a generic Link 2. Now that, you know, we're in like the Master Rule revisions, you don't really need Mistar Boy as much anymore, but it does come up, so I like it. And then one Lambda. I played the Lambda because of the Omega, but again, you don't need it. So, you know, there's a lot of things you could try. Like sometimes I suggest if you have extra space, you could try putting a Hulk in your extra deck. You know, if you're running a hand trap, you normal summon the hand trap, make a Hulk special, you get like a Link 3, or it helps you OTK, you know. So yeah, so that's it, guys. That is the deck profile. It was a fun round 1. Luckily, I was able to take the match. I'm going to be playing round 2 sometime in the future, so definitely check out MBT's channel. Keep your eye out for that. And until next time, guys, I hope you guys try out this deck. Let me know what you think of it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.